Hello, my name is Adrian H and I'm a conscious living practitioner. Some of you may recognize me from the weekly videos that I upload for all the different zodiac signs on my YouTube channel, H and Great Life, or some of you may see me today for the first time. Either way, that is absolutely fine. What I'd like to share with you today is 8 points of what conscious living means to me. Now, I would just like to point out first and foremost, before I even share these 8 points with you, that these are my views. This is how I see conscious living. This is what I practice in my everyday life. This is what I have come to find over the years of conscious living, consciously practicing spirituality. These are the things that I have come to find that really work very well for me. And if you might be interested in working with me, I want you to understand also the vantage point that I'm coming from. Or you can, if maybe all of these 8 points or maybe just some of these points resonate with you, then I really encourage you to incorporate that into your everyday life as well. Now, before I go into the points that I'm talking about, and I'm going to speak to you about hydration, diet, sleep, exercise, mindset, really knowing who you are, spiritual practice, and then very importantly, what is your yes? And I think even more importantly than that, what is your no? All right. But before I speak about those points, I would just like to define for you what conscious living means to me. And conscious living to me means that I take responsibility for my life, for my experience of life. And a big thing for me, and I know this is a big thing for many other people as well, is to not beat myself up about the small things in life. Some of you may see it's not very clear at the moment, but there's a little dot over there. I was drinking some water just before I started the video, and I just spilled a drop over there. Now, me a couple of years ago would have probably completely lost it because, oh my goodness, now I failed and I need to change my top and what are people going to think of me? But first and foremost, I came to a realization that what I contribute to the world is more important than all the small little details that we sometimes get so excited about that we end up not even doing what it is that we'd initially like to do. With that being said, it obviously doesn't mean that I don't take pride in my appearance and how I go about doing things, etc., etc., etc. So for me, first of all, at the point of making this video, I am making it from my home. I'm making it from my lounge, my living space. And I also do majority of my work from my living space. So because my work is of a spiritual nature, and I'm not going to go too much into what I do because there's lots of other videos on my channel about what I do, and I'm making you some more as well, so you can watch out for that on my channel. I'm also gonna, the thumbnail, the sort of cover that we have on the front, I'll make sure that it looks the same for all the different videos, so you kind of understand where I'm coming from, or when you see them, you can sort of pick them up quite easily. And as you may notice, this is also not a highly edited video where I want to say the right things and I just really, edit it all and make sure that it's all right with little sparklings and flowing text and all those type of things. That is not who I am. Now, that is who many other people are, and that is perfect for them, absolutely perfect for them, but that is not who I am. I prefer to speak straightforward and from the heart. One of the things in the world that I do not like is I don't like lies. I don't like lies, I don't support little white lies, I don't support creatively manipulating the truth. Because for me, I enjoy conscious living so much, and I don't want to have to keep little tabs on what I said then and what I said then, and oh my goodness, what did I say, and how I'm supposed to sort of edit myself really, so I just don't do that. All right, so, but for me, first and foremost, before I go about assisting anybody and help them to unlock their greatest potential and their birthright potential, through everything that I do, for me, I understand my sole responsibility, my first responsibility to maintain my own well-being in my own life. And so when I wake up in the morning, I take in a nice deep breath. I give gratitude for my breath. I like to take a nice hot shower. I have a glass of water, which is very healthy for you as well because it starts your metabolism. And I'm grateful for the fact that with everything happening in the world, I'm in a position where I can still have a glass of water every day that is healthy for me. It is a privilege, it is a blessing, it is something that millions and millions and millions of people in this world do not have the ability to do. So I understand that as a blessing. If you listen very nicely, you hear in the background, or if you listen to my YouTube videos, my weekly videos, you hear there's normally a fountain at the background. It took me years and years and years to find that specific fountain because I wanted something that specifically speaks to my soul. So when I wake up in the morning, I switch on my fountain, I switch on my Himalayan rock salt lamp. There's rose quartz lamps behind me. I switch on my rose quartz lamp to get the energy in my space going. I say my affirmations, I do my meditation, I follow my morning rituals, I start my day with a healthy breakfast, all right? And I cleanse my space regularly, I cleanse my cards, I cleanse my crystals. I do all those things because I understand as a person who works with helping other people unlocking their greatest potential to recognize their barriers in their life, it is my responsibility, first and foremost, to make sure that the space that I operate from is optimally energized and to make sure that I am optimally energized. Some of you may or may not be aware of the fact that about 2 months ago, I started what is called Herbalife, which is the #1 nutrition product in the world. I started using that to get my own body sort of flowing and in balance, because the more balanced and the more healthy my body is, the stronger my spiritual psychic connection flows. Speaking of psychic connection, we all have a psychic connection because that is our connection to life and to the universe. And some people just have a naturally stronger sort of intuitive connection, like I was born with a very strong intuitive connection. But it's something that all of us can develop, and it's also something that you have to maintain. The same way that you have to maintain your muscles if you're like an athlete, you know, or just in general, or the same way you have to, for example, maintain your voice if you're like a singer or an actor or something like that. You also have to maintain your psychic connection. Otherwise, it sort of weakens and dwindles away a little bit. And that is something that I focus on. So just to understand that even though I teach all these things and I help all these many beautiful people, which I think is just the biggest honor bestowed upon me in my life, I have to, first and foremost, maintain that within myself. And so when I speak about being a conscious living practitioner, I mean that I practice good living, spirituality, well-being, holistic being, whatever you want to call it. I physically maintain it and consciously maintain it within my own life first, because I understand that I can only give that which I have within myself first. All right. So, which brings us to hydration. You know, it is absolutely astounding how many people in this world, billions of people in this world, have health problems and feel tired, feel drained, no energy, the mood is not good, have health problems simply because you are not taking in a sufficient amount of water every single day. A large part of our body consists of water, and water, here's a wonderful benefit for you if you don't sort of want to take water. Water is a highly changeable sort of structure, really, all right? And water is also a substance that can be programmed. Water, interestingly enough, is also a main ingredient in how, for example, Reiki work, energy healing, crystal healing, and normally when I do it, I bring the two together in one. And here's a nice trick for you with programming water. Some of you may have seen this before, but I like to share this with everybody. This is something called water alchemy. So the structure of water can be changed, and extensive scientific research and all sorts of things have been put into the programming of water. So what you do is I breathe into my heart space. I imagine myself or visualize myself breathing into my heart space. And then I visualize, that heart space breathing, because breathing is like a gift that you give to yourself. So there automatically you actually have 9 points instead of 8. And then once I breathe into my heart space and my heart space feels nice and beautiful and comfortable, I imagine that I have light flowing from my heart space all the way down, my shoulders and into my arms and into my hands and into the water. And I say, what is it that I'd like to program this water with? And I would actually like to do that with you right now. So if it's safe for you to do so, if you will take a nice deep breath with me, please. Consciously breathing into the heart space. Releasing all of that which is holding you back. Let's just take another one. Welcoming the love of the universe, your angels, your guardians, your guides. Letting go of all resistance, that which you know and that which you don't know. And just one more. And become aware of the fact that, first of all, that you are part of this amazing, incredible, beautiful everything. And once you become aware of that, this is one of my morning practices. I like to experience myself sinking into everything and becoming part of everything and being part of everything. And from that space, I ask myself, what would I like to call into my conscious experience of life? From all the infinite possibility in the universe, what would I like to call into my experience of life? And for you right now and for myself, I would like to welcome universal support. I would like to welcome wisdom. I would like to welcome courage. I would like to welcome in my angels. I would like to welcome in synchronicities, or being at the right place at the right time, basically, where all the wonderful miracles that are available to me in this world and the experiences that they would come to me easily and effortlessly, and that I would become aware in a loving, kind and supportive way of that which is holding me back, and having the willingness to release that which is holding me back, that which I'm aware of and that which I'm not aware of. And so it is. And when I can feel that beautiful energy going to the water, then I drink it. And then I make a mess down my chin once again. But so first of all, simple thing you can do for conscious living, because conscious living is all about consciously taking steps to live your best experience of life. It is not just about, spirituality and angels and dragons and fairies and, all those wonderful things. It is about consciously taking responsibility for your own experience of life. Because my belief, once again, this is my belief, which you can accept if it resonates with you, or you can just discard it if it doesn't resonate with you. But my belief is that my sole responsibility, or my first responsibility, is to take care of my body. Because I am blessed with this beautiful body that I require in order to have this incredible experience as a soul having a human being experience. Now, for years and years and years and years and years, I did not love myself. I did not love myself. I did not appreciate myself. I did not approve of myself. I thought I was the biggest loser on the planet. I hated the fact that I've got a big nose and I've got these really big eyes, and I was like, oh my goodness, I look all kinds of monstrous and my lips were too thick. And at some point, because I would abuse all sort of substances and recreational drugs and stuff like that, because I didn't love myself. I was very thin, so, sort of my features were very kind of like, almost accentuated in a way with this very high cheekbones and stuff like that. And it took me a long period of time to love myself. It took me to the brink of suicide to get to a point where I could really love myself. And it's wonderful for me these days, because when anybody comes to see me, all I see in you is potential. All I see in you is the beauty of the universe. And when I look at you, I see myself in you. And because I am you and you are me. We are having an individual experience of life, but we are really all one. Okay. Second point I want to speak about is diet. Now, I did touch a little bit on the fact already that I personally opted to follow Herbalife Nutrition in my life, which, as I said, is the #1 nutritional product in the world. And it's such a privilege for me that I've also stepped in the space where I became, I was offered the opportunity to become an independent distributor of Herbalife, that I learned a lot about nutrition and, vitamins and minerals and all those type of wonderful things and proteins, which is great, because with that understanding, it didn't only benefit me, but it's also, I'm in a space where I'm also able to help other people. But apart from that, it's also about all sorts of diet. What am I putting in my body? It's about conscious eating, conscious living, I watched this really amazing program. I can't remember what the name of the lady is now, but she's got a YouTube channel. And she was speaking about eating like a French lady. And it is really about appreciating your food, tasting your food, being in the moment. What are you eating? Understanding what it is that you are eating, And yes, I, especially those who know me personally will sometimes hear me say that I am not going to completely withhold myself from living because I'm still a human being and I'm not going to live forever. But in the period that I am here on earth as a soul having a human being experience, I want to do everything that I can to enjoy my life and to enjoy my experience of life. And the more healthy I am and the more consciously I eat, the better that experience of life. And also, obviously, for me, which is very important, the stronger my psychic or intuitive connection with the universe flows, which is great because for me, conscious giving is very important. And because when I made my vision board last year, something that became very important to me was conscious giving. And so in order for me to be able to give consciously, I also have to consciously live. Okay. And then, of course, there's sleep. One of the biggest favors you can do yourself is to get a sufficient amount of sleep. Now, with conscious giving, which also has to start with me first, for many years, I've worked in all different sort of jobs, and there were those jobs, that I had to be at 8 o'clock in the morning, and which means I had to get up really early, and I would frame my mindset around that. But the simple truth of the matter is that I'm a person, since I was very, very young, I've always liked to be up late at night. And I usually wake up naturally quite early in the morning, but I like to keep mornings for myself. So I wake up early, keep the morning to myself, do my sort of morning practices and all those type of things. Just spend time with myself, because so often we don't do that. And for different people, that means different things. It could be spending time with your partner, your spouse, with your parents, your children, your pets, your plants. I've got lots of plants. I love plants. But sleep is that beautiful thing that we have been given in this world to give the body an opportunity to recuperate. And the simple truth of the matter is that if we don't get a sufficient amount of sleep in our life, then it's bad for our health, and it also negatively affect, obviously how we interact with other people, and it could also lead to a lot of mental health problems. Because mental health, and I'm not going to go too much into that, but mental health is really, obviously there's many different, categories and subcategories of it, but a lot of it is caused and maintained by not getting sufficient sleep, sufficient rest, sufficient downtime. Because there are certain hormones that are produced inside of our body that help us to have certain experiences in certain ways, and our emotions and our moods and those sort of things. And then when we don't get a sufficient amount of sleep, our body doesn't get the opportunity to create certain hormones which are necessary for us to have a very positive experience of life. And so often, again, please understand, I'm not encouraging any of these things, nor am I sort of crediting or discrediting it, but a lot of medication that we sometimes receive for mental health, all it really does is balance our hormones, or give us the hormones that our body is not able to naturally produce because we didn't have sufficient sleep. Okay. Sorry. And then there's exercise. Now, before I even go into exercise, I'm going to be very honest with you. There are few things in life that I find less exciting than a gym. I don't like gymming. I've gymmed before in my life. It's nice when I do it in a group, but I don't really get excited about gymming. But so with that being said, and with me understanding that it's my responsibility to maintain my body, what do? So I have started to consciously take walks every day. So I would consciously walk to the shop. I would consciously walk to go visit a friend of mine. I would consciously walk to the beach because I'm in this beautiful, wonderful, amazing, incredible blessed opportunity that I can literally walk to the beach. If I go out my door and I go, down the road, I get to see the ocean. And I always say to people, I'm happy to live anywhere on this planet as long as it's close to flowing water, because I'm a Cancerian, I'm a water sign, I love water. I always have. And I haven't started being a lover of water, when I found out that I'm a water sign. I've always loved it. It's just when I found out about astrology more, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Okay. So I would consciously do that, and I like to, for example, go for walks in nature. I like mountain climbing. And also a little small thing that I just want to throw in here for you. So now we actually went to 10 points. I spoke to a very good friend of mine yesterday, and we were talking about surfing, and she was speaking to a surfer. And we were speaking about how you sort of one with the water, and you can feel the ripples and the vibrations in your hands and all those type of things. And I'll make a video about goal setting at some point, because the thing about goal setting is you can't just say, oh, I'd like to do that. Your mind works better with a time frame. And that is also why regression hypnosis, which I am very proud to do and very passionate to do, that is why it works so well, because you work with the mind in a way that the mind operates, and everybody's mind obviously doesn't operate in the same way as well. But I said the one day, oh, I'd really like to surf. That sounds really, really nice. And it never happened for me yet. And I realized that yesterday, because I said I'd like to do it, but I didn't set a clear goal in my mind for when it is that I'd like to do it. All right. But for now, we're just talking about exercise. And the important thing to also understand with exercise, be it that you dance or whatever it is that you do, I normally put on music and I go all sort of dance and, enjoying my life when I'm on my own, which is amazing for me. But obviously, there's also the balance with exercise. You want to get some exercise to get the blood flowing in your body and all those type of things, but you also don't want to over-exercise. You don't want to overstrain your body. All right. And then with mindset, you want to know who you are. And knowing who you are, it is such an important thing in this world for success. For when I say life success, I mean being happy within your life, within your experience of life. Because when you're happy, your life just flows. It literally does. All right. And that's when you're really happy, when you're soul happy, when you, what I like to call, when your heart smiles, when your soul sparkles, when your cells are sparkling. Okay. And with knowing who you are, a lot of times when we focus on knowing who we are, we only want to focus on the pretty stuff. We only want to focus on the nice stuff. But, and this is where I'm going to get a little bit more serious with you. But, not that the other parts weren't serious, because they are, but the other parts really bring you so much more to this part. And with knowing who you are, you want to know your good sides, your bad sides, the parts that can sort of like creep you up, that can, take you into a space that you don't like sometimes. And why is it that you have those parts, And for me, it's wonderful because I'm also a life coach, and I come from an NLP mind point, neuro-linguistic programming, which is how your mind works, and sorry, how to really use your mind to your benefit and not to your detriment. Okay. And you want to know who you are. First and foremost, you really want to know who you are, all of who you are. And when it comes to loving yourself, you want to love and accept all of the parts who you are, because it's only really when you come from that point where you can really consciously start to live. Because a lot of times as humans, we are feeling that we are unhappy with our lives, and we feel that we are unhappy sort of like with how other people treat us, and people are not fully accepting of who we are. But here's the simple truth of the matter. A lot of times, and I've done this for many years of my life. I'm turning at the point of making this video. I'm not 100% sure what the date is today. Yesterday was the 4th of May, because everybody was saying, May the 4th be with you. And I'm like, what's going on? And then I actually figured it out. So today is May the 5th, 2021, and it is Wednesday. Okay. And for me, it took a long time to get to the point where I am today, knowing really who I am. Because the simple truth of the matter is that a lot of times we get upset because other people don't respect us, they don't value us, they don't appreciate us, all those type of things. But then the simple truth of the matter is, nobody can even love you fully if you don't know who you are first of all. They can't, because you don't know who you are. And a lot of times the reason why we get so upset that other people don't acknowledge us and appreciate us and approve of us and all those type of things is because we often don't know who we are ourselves. Because when you know who you are, and when you can love who you are, and appreciate who you are, and accept and embrace who you are, you will not care what other people think of you. And not in a disrespectful sense of the word, but your opinion of you will be the most important opinion of you first and foremost. That is point number one. So Number one, we spoke about hydration. Number two, we spoke about diet. Number three, we spoke about sleep, sufficient sleep. Number four, we spoke about exercise. Number five is about mindset. Number six is about spiritual practice. And I personally believe that you can only really consciously practice spirituality when you know who you are. Because spiritual practice is really a celebration of who you are. And spiritual practice, for me, is having the clear understanding of who I really am. Because when I get in a funky space, as all of us as humans sometimes do, then I ask myself some questions. Why am I in this funky space? What is happening at this moment that doesn't define to me who I am? All right? It's always us. I always say to people when I do, tarot readings, be it like my weekly general readings that I do on YouTube for the different zodiac signs, or whether it is that I do a personal reading, whether it is for romance or finance or, health or whatever's happening in your life. When you can accept that your experience of life is a reflection of your inside world, even if you don't, especially in fact if you don't like it, when you can accept that, it shows to you how powerfully you can create your own experience of life. I had a personal online reading with somebody earlier this week. I think it was on Monday. Lovely, lovely, lovely person. When we spoke about all the lovely stuff, the connection was perfect. The moment we addressed the issues that this person has, in their life, the connection would break up, the screen would break up, the sound would break up. And I've got a very strong Wi-Fi connection, and the person I was doing the reading for also has a very strong Wi-Fi connection. My equipment was in perfect condition, the person's equipment was in perfect condition, and I said, let me just point this out to you. The moment something happens in your life that you don't like, you completely block it out, and it's almost like you break the chain completely. Which means you already have the ability to manifest very strongly and very fast within your life. You just want to go into the space where you use that to your benefit instead of your detriment. And then I shared some techniques with this person, some NLP techniques that really work very beautifully. And their life is going to be wonderful a couple of, days from now, a couple of weeks from now, and definitely a couple of months from now. That person is going to have a very altered, very positive experience of life from what they were currently having when they came to me on Monday, if they follow the guidance or the techniques that I share with them. All right. And then the two other points that I want to speak about, point number 7 and point number 8. Point number 7, what is your yes? You want to know what your yes is in life. What is yes for you? And a lot of times we look for our yes from a spiritual practitioner or a guru or a, other forth-standing person like a celebrity or a spiritual teacher or, maybe like a religious figure or whatever the case may be. But the thing about all of those people, myself included, we can only point you towards the light. And in my work, my vision is always to point you towards yourself, to point you towards you, towards who you really are, to your heart. And my belief is that when you can be in alignment with the perfect soul plan that you had, with that vision that you had as a soul before you incarnated in human form, when I can help you to get in flow with that, the rest of your life just flows. I know that works because it worked for me and it works for many other people. All right. One of my big questions is always to someone, and if I work with them, it doesn't matter what I do with you. So I am a I'm a Reiki practitioner, I'm a crystal healer, and when I do a session, I normally put those two together. So I do a beautiful 2-hour session together, either in person or across distance, because time and space doesn't exist. It's literally equally effective. And the wonderful thing about a session like that, I always say, it's like sending your soul on a vacation, because when is the last time that you really profoundly rested? The world keeps us running with so many things. When is the last time you really profoundly rested? Because when you rested, and when you really give yourself that break, it's like going into that surrender space, and all the many things that you wanted and you put out there with your vision boards and your affirmations and your prayer and all those type of things. When you step out of the way, I call it getting out of God's way, or what I refer to God as source of all those wonderful things can just come to you. Okay? I'm also a regression hypnosis practitioner, so past life regression and all those wonderful things that can really assist you, because often the resistances that we have, yes, there is learned behavior. So from the time that you are born till about 7 years old, you adopt all these patterns and beliefs from everybody around you. But a lot of times you also bring that from previous lifetimes, and we have to go back to that space to go and heal it over there. All right. And then when you hear what I call the core initiator, or well, it's called the core initiator, then your life automatically just begins to work. I'm also very passionate about teaching tarot, so not just giving tarot readings, but teaching tarot, teaching crystal healing, teaching Reiki, practicing NLP, not just with my clients' work, but with myself. I'm also a numerologist. I don't really sort of offer numerology just as a service on its own, or train it at this point, but I incorporate it into all I do. I incorporate astrology into all I do, and all the wonderful techniques that I learn. But all of that is with finding what is your yes. And then point number 8, the last point in our video, is what is your no? And why is that your no? Because before you can understand what your yes is, you actually need to understand what your no is. And no is that what defines me and what doesn't define me. What is true for me and what is not true for me. And just because something is true for you or not true for you doesn't have to mean that it has to be true or not true for somebody else. Because we are all individuals, and we all have a right to choose what it is that we would like our life to be. And for me, that is conscious living. And you will never find that I will tell you this is what you must do, this is what you shouldn't do. Because I don't feel that I've got a right to do that. Because when you take right and wrong is really sort of subjective terms. And as human beings, we change our mind about what that is all the time. The one thing that I do encourage is the viewpoint that we are all from the same source, and that we just express life in different ways, because we are expressions of source, individual expressions of source. But I also understand that I am not separate from you and you are not separate from me. So I'm in Cape Town in South Africa at this point, and I understand wherever you are in the world and wherever it is that you might be watching this video from, whether you're just down the road from me, in a different town, in a different city, on the other side of the world, who knows where technology may go, you might be watching this video in outer space. We are one, we are connected. And even though I understand my responsibility to maintain my own experience of life first and foremost, and to respect and honor my individual experience of life, and to not sort of just go with the flow because it's what everybody expects of me, I still have the understanding that every person and every situation and circumstance that comes about in my life is an outer expression of my inner world. And for me, conscious living is to take responsibility for my world and for my life and for my conscious experience. And if I don't know what's happening, it is about asking questions, putting myself out for training, Not too long ago, I had the beautiful hypnosis sessions that I give. I had one myself because I found myself in a tight space where I didn't know what was going on. And it is accepting that responsibility for my life, conscious living within my life, that I understand is what places me in the position to be able to assist many people in the wonderful way that I do. I want to thank you for your time, your energy, your love, and your light. Namaste.